Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the No DQ live recap of Monday Night Raw for May the 4th, 2020. We have WWE Money in the Bank, the pay-per-view this Sunday with the most unique Money in the Bank ladder match of all time. Who will climb the corporate ladder to become Mr. and Mrs. Money in the Bank? The risk is worth the reward. All right, let's go ahead and get started with the recap. We started off with a recap of the contract signing from last week. We kicked off Raw with the VIP Lounge, hosted by MVP, of course. He said that this week they are returning to style, sophistication, and class with the women participants in the Money in the Bank ladder match, which will be the most unique Money in the Bank ladder match in WWE history. It is a match that will be all about climbing that corporate ladder, so on and so forth. The risk is worth the reward. MVP, though, wasn't sure if the women would be all that sophisticated and have class because footage was shown from last week. Nia Jax, Asuka, and Shayna Baszler all hell breaking loose. The three of them came out for this segment. They each discussed the Money in the Bank ladder match. And Nia Jax said that she is relentless. And that's all she needs to win Money in the Bank. Asuka started talking in Japanese. She was very animated as usual, dancing around. Shayna Baszler was not amused by Asuka. Shayna said that she does all of her talk with her actions. There's a face-off between Asuka and Shayna, and then the two of them went after Nia Jax, a little bit of payback from last week. They sent her out of the ring, and then MVP managed to separate Shayna and Asuka. We then had our gauntlet match to determine the final spot in the Money in the Bank ladder match. It started off with Bobby Lashley, Bob the Lash, and Titus O'Neil, one of the hosts of WrestleMania 36, of course. Lashley quickly won with the spear, pretty much a squash. Akira Tozawa came out next, and no, he did not hit the ramen noodle moonsault, as Jerry Lawler would say. He got quickly beat with a spear from Lashley. Shelton Benjamin was the next one out. He put up a little bit more of a fight, but still, he got beat relatively quickly by Lashley. And then Humberto Carrillo made his return for the first time in several weeks. Lashley ended up getting disqualified because he got a little bit carried away. Referee tried to get Lashley out of the corner, and Lashley shoved him. So referee naturally disqualified Lashley. Backstage, Lana was like, hey, if I was out there, maybe I could have prevented the referee from calling for a DQ. The plot thickens with Lashley and Lana. Carrillo faced Angel Garza next, and Carrillo countered the wing clipper to pin Garza. Then Austin Theory from Zelina Vega's faction came out, and Carrillo countered a superplex from Theory to score the pinfall. And then there was one person left, and that person was AJ Styles. Back from the dead AJ Styles. He came out there, and Humberto put up a bit of a fight against AJ, but in the end, AJ picked up the victory with the calf crusher to win the gauntlet and take Apollo Crews' spot in the Money in the Bank ladder match, which is this Sunday. The most unique Money in the Bank ladder match in WWE history, where the risk is worth the reward. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. First one of the evening says, why should anyone care about Humberto Carrillo? Great question there. And what I was wondering, I mean, Humberto got a pretty good showing in this match. And I'm just wondering, you really sacrificed Angel Garza and Austin Theory for Humberto, a guy that pretty much fizzled out? He comes back all of a sudden and then he beats not one but two people from Zelina's faction. Whatever. So after the match, AJ Styles cut a promo. He said he's not a zombie. He's not a ghost. There's no Undertaker to steal his spotlight this time. He got buried, but that doesn't mean he lost. There were no rules in that match. He talked about Money in the Bank. He said, we're moving on to the future. And that Money in the Bank, he will do anything. He will climb that corporate ladder in the most unique Money in the Bank ladder match in WWE history. He will do whatever it takes. And he even suggested the idea of maybe throwing somebody off the roof like Rey Mysterio or Aleister Black. And if he has to do that to win, to be victorious, the risk is worth the reward as far as he's concerned. And he said, so be it. Pretty good promo here from AJ. I guess my only complaint is I would have liked to have seen him with a different look. Maybe change something up, cut the hair, shave the facial hair, dye his hair, change his gear. He came out with an OC t-shirt. Like, change it up. Do something different. Evolve the AJ Styles character a little bit. Like, there was really no indication that he was any different than he was before the Boneyard match. So, nitpicking on my part, but I would have liked to have seen AJ with a little bit of a different look coming back. Maybe even some face paint or something. Like, give him like a zombie look. But, oh well. Something cool, you know? But, nah, they didn't do it. Throughout the show, we got the Money in the Bank top 10 moments. And this was a little strange because it wasn't like top 10 Money in the Bank match moments. It was just overall moments. So sometimes they were from the Money in the Bank ladder matches, and other times they were cash-ins at different events. By the way, the number one moment, which I think is one of the best moments, I'm not going to say it wasn't, but I was a little surprised Edge, the first cash-in, was not number one. The number one moment was Seth Rollins cashing in at WrestleMania 31. Again, great moment, and I get it. The pay-per-view was Sunday, so you want to build up Seth Rollins, put him in the number one spot. I understand, but still, I would not put Rollins' cash-in above Edge's. Just my take. And Ken Terminated by Google says no CM Punk. Well, of course not. Of course there's not going to be any kind of hype for CM Punk and recognition. Ain't going to happen, sucker. We had a Seth Rollins interview in the ring. He said that Drew McIntyre, yes, he's an honorable man, but it's not his destiny to carry the company into the future. Seth said that he is going to sacrifice himself for the greater good. He's not trying to crush Drew McIntyre's dreams. He just wants to unburden McIntyre and save him. Pretty much the same Seth Rollins promo we've heard over the last 6 months. So nothing too special, but it wasn't terrible either. It was all right. Tony H with the $2 super chat. How's it going, Tony H? And thank you for that. He says, AJ Styles should go back to the short hair TNA look. I mean, anything, just some kind of change, I think would have been nice. You know, just like The Undertaker evolves the character. Kane did it. Even Big Show changed up his look. Ken terminated by Google with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Ken. He says, Sucka, Rift, you didn't say that. Tell me you did not just say that. I did say that, sucka. Backstage, we had MVP chatting with Brendan, Vick, and Shane Thorn. And MVP quoted the movie Miracle, one of Caitlin's favorite movies, by saying that great moments are born of great opportunity. We had the match between Brendan, Vick, and Shane Thorn against Cedric Alexander and Ricochet. Interestingly enough, Brendan, Vick hit a big boot and pinned Ricochet to pick up the victory for his tag team. Interesting. If you're trying to build up new guys, I get it, but you really have Ricochet and Cedric Alexander losing to these guys? I guess so. And also, there was no MVP out there at ringside. I think if you're going to have MVP as the manager, actually have him out there instead of the backstage area. And he also could have been a little bit of a distraction to help with the victory. I think that would have been nice. Nick Glavin with a $2.79 super chat says, should they have waited longer to bring AJ Styles back? Yeah, I think so, but if you believe the reports, WWE wanted to bring him back sooner because the numbers have been dropping. Television viewership has gone down to record lows. And by the way, big announcement for next week's Raw, which I'll get to in just a few minutes here, so stay tuned for that. I do agree, though. I think AJ should have sold being dead a little bit longer. Caleb Jacobs with a $4.70 super chat donation. Thank you for that. Interesting number. He says AJ Styles should bring back Get Ready to Fly, which is his TNA theme. WWE is not going to use his TNA theme, and I honestly like his new one. I suppose WWE could have given him a new theme song, but since they didn't bother changing his look at all, then why even bother changing the entrance music? But yeah, they're not going to use the TNA theme song. That's for sure. Keith Johnson with a $2 super chat. Thank you very much for that, Keith. I appreciate it. He says, sorry, Aaron, off-topic impressions of Dexter Lumis. Well, I have talked about him a little bit on the Wednesday live streams. He's creepy. He's a creepy dude. I like the Stranger Things style music. I thought he was creepy in Impact Wrestling, but I'm not sure if he's a heel or a face at this point. Like I said on the live stream, I was confused by him coming out there and being part of the babyface tag team on NXT, because he seems like a heel character. At least that's the vibe I get from him. And TJS, Tyler, with a $2 super chat. Thank you, TJS. He says, do you remember the 2001 Booker T. Steve Austin church segment? I do remember it, but I don't think it was as good as the segment that they did in the market, the Bakersfield market, where they fought in the grocery aisles. That one was a classic. And then I think like a week later, they did that church segment, and that one just didn't hit the right spot. Didn't make that connection that the grocery store segment did. And by the way, I went to that market. I actually went to that market in Bakersfield, California. I believe it has shut down, but I did get the opportunity to go there several years ago. I specifically went there just so I could be part of wrestling history, visit a famous wrestling landmark. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, Cedric and Ricochet are a bunch of vanilla midgets. Well, hard to argue that. I mean, I like Ricochet a lot, and Cedric's good too. I think Ricochet had some serious potential, but let's be real here. That was squandered when he lost to Brock. That was the nail in the coffin for him that just made him a complete scrub. But yeah, it's a real shame for both guys. Both of them could have been something, especially Ricochet, but now it's like, why even be mad about it anymore? It's like both guys are where they're going to be, and that is that. We had a Buddy Murphy promo backstage, or Murphy, whatever. He said he's been loyal to Seth Rollins because they need each other. He says he has learned and developed, and he hopes that one day he will be at Seth's level. Maybe one day he'll be better than Seth. But for now, he's going to focus on Drew McIntyre, and he knows he can beat Drew. Here's what I was talking about earlier with the ratings dropping, the viewership at all-time lows, and what WWE is apparently doing, besides bringing AJ back, which, I mean, yes, I think ideally you would have him sell the injury longer, but why keep one of your top guys off TV when it's not necessary, especially when numbers are down? But here's something very interesting. So there was a commercial for Edge and Randy Orton on next week's Raw. Now, the commercial was very strange. It was basically teasing like Edge did not beat Randy Orton at WrestleMania. The commercial was talking about Edge hunting Randy Orton. He already beat him at WrestleMania. And it felt like this was an old commercial, like this was supposed to be for like the March 9th edition of Raw or something like that. But apparently it's legit. WWE aired the commercial twice, so I don't think it was a mistake when it airs the second time. And then WWE on Twitter confirmed Edge and Randy Orton for next week. And I would presume they're going to be there at the Performance Center, and it's not going to be re-airing the WrestleMania match. But yeah, it's really strange. Like, that was not the kind of advertisement I think you would use as a follow-up to WrestleMania. It was very bizarre. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says the commercial with the mistake by USA. Well, again, WWE tweeted it and it aired twice. You would think if it was a mistake, it would not have aired a second time. And also WWE would not be tweeting it for next week. If it was a mistake, then this would be a pretty colossal blunder. But apparently something's happening with Randy Orton and Edge next week on Raw. And I Randy Orton should be back. And Edge, I feel like you don't need to bring him back. Maybe WWE feels they need to because of the numbers, but Edge should not be appearing again until we have live crowds again. Just my take on it. Orton, I say bring him back. Although you could argue too that Orton would be a good opponent for Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam, if SummerSlam, of course, is going to be in an arena. Anyways, we'll see what happens with that. We got Money in the Bank coming up first, which is the most unique Money in the Bank ladder match in WWE history. Climb the corporate ladder to become Mr. or Mrs. Money in the Bank. The risk is worth the reward. Remember that, guys, in case you didn't know. Oofman Entertainment with a $10 super chat. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. He says, is anyone remotely excited for the pay-per-view on Sunday? He says, by the way, this is your brother from a different mother, Oscar from New Jersey. New name, same oof. I figured that, Oofman. I know that username. And to answer your question, I'm looking forward to this Money in the Bank ladder match. It is the most unique Money in the Bank ladder match in WWE history. They're going to climb the corporate ladder. The risk is worth the reward. Somebody might get thrown off the roof. So yeah, I am looking forward to that. The rest of the show, so-so. The Street Profits came out for their match with the Viking Raiders. They talked about how they were put together at the Performance Center. That's where the Street Profits were born. They broke bread there, and they want the smoke from the Viking Raiders. We had the tag match, which was non-title, by the way. Pretty lengthy match here between these teams. Montez Ford hit the DDT, and then they did the cash out, but Eric made the save with a running knee. And then Dawkins got hit with the Viking Experience. 1, 2, 3. Street Profits picked up the victory. They cut a backstage promo saying that this was not success. This was dominance. They respect the Profits, but they showed everybody that they are the better team, and they extinguished the smoke. My guess is we'll get the title match Sunday at the pay-per-view. Yay. I mean, the match was good. It was a good match. Not sure why they didn't just do the tag title match at the pay-per-view and skip this match, but it's fine. Drew McIntyre cut a backstage promo, and he talked about Buddy Murphy. He actually called him Buddy, and he's like, whatever his name is, he's not even sure what his name is. Drew said that Murphy is very talented, but he's not going to deny an old-fashioned slaughtering. We had an Aleister Black promo, and apparently he's been getting the smoke because the room was quite smoky. Aleister talked about AJ Styles, asked how did it feel to be buried 6 feet deep. Hey, Aleister could ask Cedric Alexander about that one. Aleister said AJ clearly is not any more humble. And then Aleister said if AJ can somehow throw him off the roof, AJ better pray that Aleister doesn't get back up. Aleister said that AJ will wish Aleister was, or no, I totally screwed that line up. Aleister said that AJ will wish he was buried deeper than just 6 feet if Aleister comes back from being thrown off the roof. I feel like somebody's getting thrown off the roof. We got several references to it on this show. And knowing WWE, they like to do the big cinematic stunts. I feel like we're going to get something like this. The question is, will the person thrown off the roof sell it for a month? Will they sell being dead longer than AJ Styles being buried 6 feet under? Will AJ get thrown off? Will that be AJ Styles' new gimmick where he dies every month? He gets buried alive. He falls off a roof. Maybe at Extreme Rules he gets burned to death. And then maybe SummerSlam he gets killed by holy water. Like, this could be AJ's new gimmick. He could be like Rambling Rabbit / Kenny. He could die every pay-per-view in WWE. That could be AJ's new gimmick. We had a Rey Mysterio promo. Should I spare you guys the details? Let me just say what he said. Rey Mysterio said it's the most unique Money in the Bank ladder match in WWE history. It's the riskiest match he's ever been in. He doesn't know how many opportunities he has left, but he knows one thing, and one thing only, brother. The risk is worth the reward. Hey, props to Rey Mysterio for memorizing his lines and looking at that script on the format for Raw and seeing that bold lettering for unique and risk is worth the reward. Good job, Rey Mysterio. You know how to cut those scripted promos and use those buzzwords. Good for you, AJ, or Rey Mysterio, whatever your name is. I still have AJ on the brain here. My mind is still racing about AJ Styles and what you can do with him being killed at every pay-per-view. I don't care about Rey Mysterio. Charlotte came out for a promo. She talked about being the hardest working woman in WWE. Io Shirai is going to bow down to the Queen on Wednesday on NXT. Liv Morgan came out and basically ripped on Charlotte for having a silver spoon in her mouth and her dad getting her to the front of the line. Charlotte said she's damn proud of it, and Liv is not the first person to make these claims about her. Wow. Way to really make Liv look like a fool. This felt like a John Cena promo, where somebody cuts a promo on John Cena and John Cena is like, I've heard this a million times. Say something new. And it's one thing when Cena says it because Cena is a babyface and the heel is just saying the same thing that every heel says. But when Liv comes out there and says this and then Charlotte just says, well, everybody says this about me, so, come up with some new material. I kind of agree with Charlotte, and she's the heel. So anyways, Liv challenged Charlotte to a match, and it was a pretty long match, maybe as long as the Viking Raiders match. Honestly, I really didn't care about it much because I knew there wasn't really any chance of Charlotte losing this, especially with the match coming up on Wednesday. And sure enough, Charlotte avoided Oblivion. So Oblivion had 1 week of being a move that was a force to be reckoned with. I mean, she didn't hit it, but she was unable to hit it. Charlotte put on the figure eight. Liv tapped out. Not sure why we didn't have this match saved, especially with Liv picking up some momentum, and you could potentially save it for Extreme Rules or something. But no, they just did the match here. Charlotte won, and there you go. It is what it is. We had a Jinder Mahal video package hyping up his comeback in WWE. Maybe he'll just lose to Drew McIntyre on some random Raw next week, and that'll be the end of his push. Seriously, though, I think if Jinder's going to face Drew, give him a pay-per-view match. Just do it at Extreme Rules. But yeah, it would not shock me if Jinder just has a match with Drew on Raw next week and then back to going after the 24/7 title or whatever title he can find at this point. Because Sami Zayn ain't on TV, although Sami Zayn is on SmackDown. I don't think Andrade was on this show, and he's the U.S. champion. We had our main event, Drew McIntyre versus Murphy. Seth Rollins was there at ringside. Drew dominated most of the match, trash-talked Murphy. Murphy made a quick comeback, but wasn't much. Drew hit the victory with the Claymore. And then after the match, Seth came down to the ring. Drew got on his knees and he basically pleaded with Seth to get into the ring. Seth walked away. And then as soon as Drew McIntyre had his guard down, Seth blindsided him with a super kick. Seth started yelling that this is bigger than both of them. He picked up the WWE Championship. And then he went for the curb stomp. But then Drew McIntyre countered with a headbutt. Drew went for the Claymore, but Seth managed to escape again. And that was the end of the final Raw before Money in the Bank, which is this Sunday, the most unique Money in the Bank ladder match in WWE history. The risk is worth the reward. $9.99. Put a smile on people's faces. That's what WWE does. Keith Johnson with a $2 super chat says, always thought Liv and Mandy Rose were twins. Really? I never thought they really looked that much alike. But thank you for that super chat, Keith. I do appreciate it. I always thought Liv had a little bit more of an Alexa Bliss look than Mandy Rose, although I guess you could say they're all the skinny tan blondes, so maybe they all look the same. Who knows? So, letter grade for Raw. I am back to doing letter grades for those of you that have missed some of the recent live streams. I was like, screw it. Show was fine. I'm just going to give it a C. Down the middle. Average show. Nothing great. Nothing terrible. Just, it was fine. Nick Lavin with a $2.79 super chat says, what time is the Money in the Bank prediction video tomorrow? Thank you for mentioning that. We are doing Money in the Bank predictions tomorrow night, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. I should have said that a dozen times instead of shilling Money in the Bank for WWE. Let's see what you guys thought about Raw. CC Drink with a C, Michael Wayne with a C minus, Curtis Butler with a C, Buddy, not Murphy, Buddy Darius with a D minus, Tic Tat Tat with a C minus, W Glass 90 with a C for crap, Mike B with a C minus, and Ironhide 48 with a C minus, D Ross 2 with a C. So pretty much C's across the board, it looks like. And on that note, I will see you guys tomorrow night, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. No DQ predictions with the team. And make sure you guys come up with some predictions in the chat room because I display the comments on the screen. I will share your comments. You can have your comments read by thousands of people. So think about it now. Write up some predictions if you want to paste it into the chat room. I'll see you guys then, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, Money in the Bank predictions. Take care, everybody, and be safe.